Welcome to the Prospecting Today podcast. We are joined today by Neil Water, the ERA broker CEO, and I'm really excited to have him on the podcast today because, Neil, I understand that during this very difficult time when everyone's dealing with this pandemic, your company has been really good about using technology to keep agents prospecting, which is going to be so crucial when this is over, that they have their pipelines filled and that they have business waiting for them. And so, Neil, can you talk us through some of that, kind of educate the listeners of the podcast, the agents that are listening, about what you guys are doing that they may want to think about?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm grateful to be here today, and happy to talk about some of the things that are happening. As the circumstances in March developed, we have a real interest, as do many of your listeners, in just helping people keep focused and know how to keep moving when everything in the world is trying to stop. And as we're all aware, real estate is a business where we have lots of contracts with timelines, and we're in various stages of, in our organization, literally 1,000 contracts, and you can't just stop. And so really the focus was, how do we keep facilitating and help people keep moving, whether there's somebody that's close to closing or there's somebody that is close to listing, so that as we move through this and come out the other side, that we don't essentially end up absolutely stop. So the first thing that we did was we focused on showings and open houses. And the reason why was we knew specifically that showings were going to collapse, and we needed to have a solution for showings and open houses. And so without going into all the details right at this moment, what we did is we built out a weekly productivity planner, so that allowed them to know, these are the activities that I have to do during the week. We put together a business plan, and we gave them assignments, and we gave them content. So if they didn't know what to do, they had a planner that outlined their week, they had a business plan that outlined their activities, and they had content that they could share with their the people that were in their sphere, so they would know how to execute and support their clients that wanted or otherwise needed to transact this spring.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So it sounds like you guys as a leadership were very forward thinking with this. Has it been surprising to you that so many real estate agents are kind of like, I don't know what to do, or aren't thinking in the same kind of way? And what kind of advice would you have for them?
So I think that it's a natural reaction in an environment like this to try to freeze or to slow down or to try and stop. And the reason why is because that's what all the inertia is around us. And so I recognize that there was a lot of effort in the in all of the economic activity to start to slow things down. But again, I just look at it and I say, we have people that need to transact. We have people that are in the middle of, in our case, literally 1,000 transactions. We have to keep those transactions moving. And so what we wanted to do was to focus people's efforts through that. And the way that we chose to focus was by identifying some key objectives that we knew that they could succeed with, and then helping them realize those objectives. And so again, we frame this in the context of a marketing kit. Let me tell you what we did the first week. We're now in week 3. So the first week, we took us 1 week to put this all together and launch it. So now we're in week 3. But the first thing we did was we handed them a printed copy or an electronic copy, depending on whether the office that they were affiliated with was closed at the time. We gave them a productivity planner. We gave them a business plan, like I mentioned. We gave them every single one of their past clients with their contact information, phone number, and email. And we gave them the name and phone number, and if we had it, email address for anybody that had inquired on any of their property over the last 3 years. Now, you got to realize we have some pretty sophisticated systems. For some of our agents, they got a list of 2,000 to 3,000 people that had either inquired or been a past client of theirs with the contact information. And so this plan was, look, it's very simple. You need to reach out and talk to these people, and this is what you need to talk to them about, right? And then we had the accountability structure for those planners to go with that. And this is what we told them to talk about. We have been providing for a number of years free professional photography and free Matterport tours. And what we explained was that you need, in today's market, a 3D experience to transact. And the reason why is because showings have new risks that we're all familiar with today. A traditional showing does. And one of the ways that we want to really enhance the way that we can deliver service and focus on client experience and outcomes is to utilize technology like, for example, a 3D Matterport tour, which can help really have a very, very positive showing experience. You allow somebody to go at their own time and you minimize traffic in somebody's house, and agent contact with individuals, which I think is really consistent with the purposes of slowing the spread of COVID-19, but it doesn't inhibit or slow the ability for an agent to promote and show a property. And so our first goal was really just to help highlight and feature that 3D experience product and explain to the public and reinforce to our agents how they could use that technology to really leverage their position in the marketplace to help their clients continue to be successful, even though everything was trying to slow down around them.
What's some of the feedback you heard from agents and or potential buyers or sellers during this time when with this tool that your agents had available to help them not miss a beat when it came to showing homes?
The first piece of feedback was, wow, I didn't know that was available. This is client speaking. Let me give you one little scenario. We had an agent who was working on securing a listing, which he did win. But the seller, the prospective seller at the time, has a child in the home that has some very significant health issues. And they were very concerned about having people in the home. And this was the question they asked. They said, can you show my property and help me get a contract without anybody actually physically coming through my house? If you can do that, I'm ready to list. And our agent was able to, without hesitation, say, absolutely yes. And they showed them the technology that we're using. They showed them that 3D tour. And once they saw that, they had confidence that they could go to market and keep their family safe. And that was a great example. Another one that was a conversation today, one of my agents called me and said, I'm having so much trouble showing other agents' homes. I'm having to walk through with my FaceTime camera on so that I can show my client this home. She said, is there any way that we could get everybody in the multiple list, all of the realtor members to just start using these Matterport tours? It would be so much easier to facilitate other agent showings. So there's two pieces of feedback, one from a client and one from an agent, demonstrating how having that technology in place can really enhance the client experience.
So Matterport, is that some kind of technology developed within ERA, or is that some kind of technology you guys just buy into?
So Matterport is a company that developed a proprietary process for scanning homes. There's multiple different camera vendors at this time, but ultimately the 3D tour allows you to, like in a Google Street View context, at your own pace, walk through essentially a home. The big difference between, for example, these 3D tours and a Google Street View is the resolution. We're talking HD, very high resolution, and you can take as much or little time to see every single corner of the house. It's a very different technology than what we used to see, where we had photos stitched together into tours. It's nothing like that. When they take a photo, they're using LiDAR to measure distances. There's 6 photos taken simultaneously. And then all of this gets stitched together into this really incredible mosaic where an individual can walk through at their own space and see in full HD that property. The other thing that's really cool is it's all VR enabled. So if you have somebody that's into or loves that VR, that virtual reality context, all of this works in a virtual reality headset, and it's very cool technology.
Wow, it almost kind of sounds like the future of real estate, and that more people do need to buy into it and understand what it's about. So my question, taking it back to that example that you demonstrated with the family and the sick child, does Matterport, someone with their company, have to go in and do all of that camera work in light of the lockdown right now for you guys to have that available?
So what we do is we've had for a number of years professional photographers on staff. And so they're the ones that operate the equipment. They have a very specific protocol. And so again, what we're doing is, yes, somebody that knows what they're doing needs to come into that home, but what that allows them to do is, in a safe way, following a very specific protocol, limit the number of people that would be coming into the house. So.
That's wonderful. So have you noticed in this 3-week time span, have your agents not skipped a beat? Have they been able to still carry on business as usual? I would assume it's still slowed down a little bit, even with all this added technology, but have you noticed a big difference in this past 3 weeks, or has this technology really helped you guys to just keep moving forward?
It's really helped tremendously. So there's a couple of things. When we launched this business plan and the productivity planners, we launched a series of topics. We actually launched 8 topics. We're in week 3. So the first week was understanding this 3D tour technology and how you can use it to help support your clients. Our agents are continuing to stay focused and engaged because it wasn't a one and done effort. So week 2 was focused on marketing outside of the multiple listing service. So the multiple listing service has been a remarkable tool that we've all used very successfully in our business to help market and distribute property information to other market participants. It's worked really, really great. But in today's marketplace, we need more than just that. And so we talked about how what is proprietary to us are already listing websites, and the content that's there allow us to not only display but distribute content to people, hundreds of thousands of people that aren't essentially in a typical MLS portal or even necessarily on another platform, for example, like Zillow or Realtor.com. And so what we're doing is we're driving incremental traffic, and that creates additional value. So when you go back, when I go back to your question, which was, are your people staying focused and are they staying engaged? The answer to that is yes. And the reason why is it's because we didn't say, here's one thing and then we're done. We have 8 weeks worth of topics that are designed to help keep them moving.
Yeah, and what I love about that is it sounds like it's very focused on prospecting. Like you're still encouraging them to go out and fill their pipelines with additional people that might not, already be in your database is kind of what I got from that. So I think that's so important. So in light of that, what are your thoughts right now with real estate in general in the market, just as a CEO of a brokerage company?
So we think that we're going through a market cycle. I teach for continuing education a real estate market cycles course, and I used to teach finance and economics at the university. And so what we're doing is we're going through a market cycle. We'll look back now and recognize that the fourth quarter of 2019 was the peak of the last cycle. We'll have some correction in the first quarter, depending on the market. Second quarter will be moving down in terms of the units. We're looking at anywhere between 20 and 25% reduction in units, but you have to realize that we're going to have our Las Vegas offices are going to have a larger correction than our Salt Lake City offices. There's more exposure. It's not so much at this point exposure to COVID-19, it's exposure to the impacts of the economic shutdown. So for example, in Las Vegas, you have so much convention, hospitality, and tourism as a function of your economy. They're going to be harder hit than Salt Lake, which has relatively low exposure to those dynamics. But on average, we think that we're going to be 20-25% We think the third quarter will see a rebound, but that rebound won't automatically be as high as we were. We think it'll take some time to build up, and then we'll be moving again. Part of the research that we've been doing is just watching other countries that are moving through this cycle, trying to understand how long it's taking for their real estate markets to start to recover. And we're trying to take those cues, but those are my forecasts. I think that it'll be 2021 before we start to feel like real estate markets are quote unquote normal. And I say that with a caveat in that I think there's going to be a persistent sensitivity about having people that I don't know in my home for some of our sellers that are transacting. And so I think some of the technology that's facilitating virtual showings and really that a decade ago moved 90% of first property interactions to an online format. We think that those trends will continue and they will persist because people will be sensitive about having people that they don't know in their home walking around, for example, touching things, etc. So I think some of the behavioral changes will be a little more persistent.
Yeah, I like that. I like the positivity and that there's some good light at the end of the tunnel with what you're researching. As somebody who's deeply entrenched in economics, what are your thoughts? And I'm just asking your opinion with the money, the stimulus money that's going into the economy and how it's going to affect real estate agents.
So great question, and I think a really important one for agents to understand. It will help a lot. And let me just give you a couple of specifics. If you're a real estate agent, you should be talking to your clients that are a business owner and asking them if they are participating in or otherwise applying for the Payroll Protection Plan, PPP program, and some of the other incentives that are out there. If your client is an independent contractor or self-employed, whether or not they're transacting today, if you're talking to your sphere, you're talking to past clients, you're talking to people that might be a potential client, you should be asking them if they are aware of and utilizing these programs. One of the things that you've mentioned and we hear a lot is that the uncertainty and the shift in confidence it's a big impact for us psychologically and for us in our business and for people in their personal situations. In this particular case, as they start to see that there's a path forward and that they can have a way to solve whatever the challenges they're facing either in their home or their business, that creates tremendous confidence, even if it's just to know that in May they're going to get a check from the government in an effort to try and help out because of the government choosing to stop the economy. There's some relief to every single person that you might talk to, and it's just a matter of making sure they understand that it has a big impact on helping to create some calm and a little bit of confidence that, look, the government is trying to do what they can to support individuals and communities through this health crisis.
Yeah, absolutely. So in wrapping up, is there any parting thought or anything more that you think is important to get out there to the agents that will be listening to this?
Yeah, I think one thing that I would just mention, we haven't had a lot of time to talk through all of the details, but I think a really critical thing that is going to happen is everybody's going to try and start moving some of these solutions online, and I think that that's great. For example, we talked about the Matterport tours. The challenge is that you have to be able to drive traffic to them. Otherwise, if nobody sees them, they're not effective. And so one of the things that we've worked really, really hard, we've spent 4 years working on this, is to have the technology in place, but then also have the capability to drive traffic. So right now, we're driving more traffic to our properties in our own platform that's hosting this content than we're getting on our same listings in Realtor.com or Trulia, for example. We haven't been able to tackle the 800-pound gorilla, which is Zillow, in terms of traffic. But we think that driving organic traffic is going to be a huge thing going forward. And the reason why is what happens is, we're all out there trying to buy leads from different lead sources so that we'll have opportunities. If you drive your own traffic, you create your own inquiries. If you have your own inquiries, then you can generate your own business. And so what we're looking at, we started this whole call talking about prospecting. We think that there's a couple of things you have to do to be successful in prospecting. You have to be successful in picking up the phone in a traditional way, talking to your sphere, talking to your past clients, talking to people who are interested and active out there looking for real estate. And one way to do that is to cold call them, for example. That's a very traditional way to do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. We have agents that are successful in doing that. But another way to do that is to target people who are at some level looking. And if you can make your own lead generation, if you will, that creates another large database of people that you can call. Again, we handed out in our company 2 weeks ago when we started these kits, we handed out literally tens of thousands of names to our existing agents with phone numbers that they could call because we had that kind of lead generation capability within our existing program. And so I just encourage anybody that's out there adopting technology to recognize that as you adopt the technology, you have to have ways to get in touch with the people that are consuming or using that technology, because that's going to make that technology valuable and effective within your organization.
Absolutely. So how are you driving so many organic leads? Is it just really great SEO? Is it great marketing? How did you guys figure out how to do it?
You know what? It's actually a lot of elbow grease. What we determined was we spent a lot of time trying to tell our agents that they needed to be active and promote their properties, their listings on social media. And we have some of our agents that are really, really great at that. They do an exceptional job. But what we decided was we were going to run a social media marketing campaign for every single listing, regardless of the price point, regardless of the product type. And we would run that social media ad campaign at our expense. We set it up, we design it, we run it, we track all the results, and we make 100% of the results transparent and available to our agents and their clients. And so now they could see the impact of doing that. Last year, that campaign got 6.5 million impressions. And in doing so, we generated right around 800,000 page views from that marketing campaign. Those are huge results.
Yeah, absolutely. So well done.
But we operate a proprietary technology and marketing platform that has been featured by Inman. We presented at Real Estate New Technology, which is the largest European real estate technology conference in Paris. We've been featured by Realogy Forward, but it's a technology that we've kept in-house. We just haven't been willing to license it. We are willing to, on a case-by-case basis, as long as there's not a direct competition within our market footprint, have conversations with individuals that would like to maybe license the technology. And one of the reasons why is very simply, we've got something that's working really great. You mentioned that, when you have a Matterport tour, but you can't get the distribution, well, you have a problem. If you have a great technology, but you have low adoption, well, you have a problem. What we did was we solved the adoption problems by combining the marketing systems with the compliance and document retention and management systems. We set up so that we literally are running, I think we'll run over 2,000 marketing campaigns. We will run over 2,000 social media marketing campaigns this year out of that platform. And we're generating, like I said, very, very substantial traffic. What we're doing is replicable by other organizations. And if there's somebody out there that wants to take that leap, it's a commitment. But if they want to take that next step, I think we can show folks how to do that.
That's wonderful. How can they find you guys?
So we have a web page that is set up. It's called brokerstechnology.com. At that page, you can see just a couple of snapshots. But if somebody wants to talk to us, they need to talk to us because we're not out marketing that. What we what we don't want to do is onboard thousands of small brokerages with 20 or fewer agents. This is a product that if we're talking to somebody, we think they need to have 100 plus agents for us to even really seriously talk to them about it. Right now, we'll run. This is actually, well, you want me to show you my dashboard? You want to see some crazy numbers? Can I screen share on here?
I'm not sure how that works.
Oh, look at that, I can.
Wonderful.
Let me see here. Are you able to see my screen popping up now?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, let's just see here. So it should just load. This is going to load. I'm wondering if this is, yeah, okay. So what you're seeing is just our login screen. This is our current listing inventory. These are all properties that we're marketing, and these property websites get set up essentially by this system. There's some really cool features in these websites. So when we're running a marketing campaign, what we're doing is we're pushing traffic to these sites. There's a bunch of features. This is not a forced registration. We collect a lot of registrations this way. People can click no thanks and skip. Here is my 3D Matterport tour. Here's all my property photos. You can schedule a tour right now on this house for the agent to walk you through. We can run open house content. Here's my marketing package, our market research for that market. We have video content here. So anyway, the site hosts a bunch of resources, but then you can also, if you want to, you can actually make an offer on an actual purchase agreement here, and we actually close deals. Not a lot, but we close deals through this platform, right? Which is kind of cool. So this site is just a landing page for a property, but let me show you some results here. So this dashboard that's going to load is a real-time dashboard, and this dashboard, I have this dashboard for my company. I'm showing you my company right now. I can show you any agent in my company, and by the way, my agents can see their dashboard. I have an agent-level dashboard, an office dashboard, and a company dashboard. So I can pull, and any agent can see this particular dashboard. So for example, these are actual numbers I'm going to show you right here. So in our last 12 months, there's our closed units and our closed transaction volume. This is our current listings. By the way, we were asking about business. My 30-day escrow right now, funny, it was going down. It's going back up right now, which is actually kind of cool.
It is cool.
This is my current listing volume and units. But what we're trying to do is walk this all back. So this virtual showings is something that we're tracking, which is really cool. So this shows you all of my virtual showings for my company over the last 12 months. The black line is how many times each of our listings is being viewed in Zillow. So all of our we have a connection to that data. So that data is fed through an API to our system, and it tracks this by listing. And then we aggregate it. That red line at the bottom that you see starting in April at 0 and then moving up, that is what we're generating essentially from our marketing campaign. So we've now passed, that's Realtor.com, and this gray line right here is Trulia and all of the MLS and all of the IDX views combined. So we're making some really, really good headway on that. February and March data alone is just really, really strong. We're making some really good headway on this. The result of that 768,000 online virtual showings in our platform, plus what's happening everywhere else, we generated through our text messaging platform, through our online leads, and then through that people willingly giving us their contact information from that Facebook registration. We generated 80,000 people contact information 80,000 times in the last 12 months. Wow. My database is growing right now by roughly 80,000 people a year.
That's so
and we are remarketing to them, right? We're targeting and remarketing additional listing inventory, market research, all kinds of things to those individuals.
Very cool. Could I show this stuff in the podcast, or would you rather not? Because this is very interesting.
I think I'm probably okay if you show it.
Okay. Because I think people would really be fascinated at what you guys are doing.
Yeah, this whole system is very, very, very cool, because what we did is we got rid of we don't have a separate text messaging platform. We don't have a separate listing website platform. We don't have a separate platform for documentation, etc. Everything's all incorporated into one platform. So when our agents are trying to figure out where they go to manage their marketing, they just come here. And what we do is we have a process with our staff where we just have our staff, they understand what they're supposed to do. They just look at every listing, make sure it meets a minimum standard, and we're really trying to drive our drive activity and create conversations in addition to whatever the agents are doing on them.
Absolutely. Do you have some agents during this time that are more than likely going to not choose to be a real estate agent anymore? Like, do you have any that are falling behind or not wanting to?
Of course. We do every time of the year. And at this time, particularly given that, it's harder for some people. We'll have some agents that will choose not to stay in the business, but we expect to grow. We grew our agent count last year by 25%. We expect to grow by 20 or 25% this year. So,
are any of the big brokerage houses doing what you guys are doing to this extent? Do you know?
Everybody's trying to build this technology. So Keller Williams is trying to build this technology. That's what they're trying. They've been talking about for 18 months. Realogy is with all of their respective brands is looking for this. We're affiliated with them, and we have coded to all of their systems. But anyway, they're looking at some similar technologies. Berkshire Hathaway is out looking. Remax has been out looking, but nobody's really deployed something that functions in this capacity, at least the way that we've seen or identified. So I'm sure there's some products that have some similar features out there. One of the things that's really unique about this product is it's not about one feature. It's not that it does one thing. It's that we've incorporated a tremendous number of features into one system so that you don't have to manage multiple systems. And it just comes from a basic theory in operations research that the more systems you put together, the more likelihood that you'll have a fault, even if you have a high degree of reliability. And so our goal was just simply to minimize the number of failures in the process by eliminating unnecessary systems.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You guys really appear to be trailblazers. So again, I just really appreciate you taking the time and showing me this so I can share it with the thousands of agents that listen to Prospecting Today. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, anytime. Great to visit. Thank you for having me, Kimberly.